We came to raise some noise! Skiba Side Quest! Hey! Skiba Side Quest! Hey! Jeremiah in the chaos, Lynsi bringing the flare. One wild ride, no time to fake it. Step in the pit and watch us make it. Skiba Side Quest, Skiba Side Quest, Skiba Side Quest. Jeremiah and Lynsi, ready to play. Skiba Side Quest.
Brand new episode every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Hey guys, how you doing? It's me, Jeremiah Skiba, and my wife, Lynsi Skiba, and we have a very special guest lined up.
We have Heidi Hollis that will be joining us in just a few minutes. She's having some internet issues, so hopefully she can hop on here with us. She is kind of a jack of all trades. She does lots of different things. She's an author. She's got 2 books out that we're going to talk about. She has a podcast that she does from coast to coast on
History Channel,
she's been on the History Channel,
Ancient Aliens, I think.
Ancient Aliens.
But my favorite thing, or I don't want to say my favorite thing, but I think it's pretty cool that she was the one that coined the term shadow people.
Shadow People and Hat Man. So she
She would be the one to ask what these things are.
absolutely.
And, you know, I will tell a very cool, interesting, not cool, very dark story about my dad and the shadow people once she's on. So just hang in there. And you want me to play a Truth or Con ad?
Sure.
have it right
If
here.
you guys have questions, if you don't even know what Shadow People and Hat Man are, drop those questions into the chat and we'll make sure that she covers all the bases. If you know what those things are and you maybe have some personal stories or just questions about that, we'll have a Q&A at the end. And so we'll go through and make sure that we get all your questions answered before
Before
the end. Yeah.
the end. But like, okay, so we went to Bro Grove, and I know we talked about all that, but TruthorCon is coming up, and it's so cool because all the truthers that came to that, you know, you could tell that they were all bummed out, and that, you know, like it feels like when you're a kid and you go to Disney World and then you're not at Disney World, like, you know, you're going back the next day. And so it's so cool that we're able to have our event, and they called it their sister event. So here's an ad.
Everything you were told was only
Gonna be
part of
epic.
the story. What if the questions you were told not to ask were the questions that mattered most? This November, the Truth Seekers are coming together. 2 unforgettable days of powerful speakers, mind-blowing presentations, live conversations, comedy, and community, and the kind of ideas you will not hear at an ordinary conference. This is where the internet comes to life. The truthers become family, where the evidence is examined, where the narratives are changed, and where absolutely nothing is off limits. Do not watch history from your phone. Be in the room. Join the movement. Meet your favorite researchers, creators, speakers, and fellow truthers face to face. Tickets are available now at truthercon.com. TruthorCon 2026 is in Dallas, Texas, November 7th and 8th. Question everything.
And as Obama said, if you're not there, you're gay. So, no, I'm just kidding. We still love you.
We also have updated the website with a few fun things. If you are looking to go with a bunch of friends, we have a bundle of tickets of 4 where you can save quite a bit of money if you buy 4 tickets in a bundle together. That's exclusive, brand new, just added to the website last night. So bring 3 friends.
Bring 3 friends. I got 3 friends, I think. No, I don't. Well, if you count. Do you
Of
count as
course
a
I
friend?
count.
Does a wife count as a friend?
Yes.
Okay, so I got you. I got Jake.
Monty.
Probably my 3 best friends
There
right
we
now.
go. We are also still looking for vendors. So if you have a product that you want to sell at Truth or Con and you are looking for a very specific audience, well, we have a very specific audience that wants to buy your product. So please send us a submission at truthorcon.com/vendors, and we will chat about selling your product at Truth or Con.
Awesome. Well, it looks like our special guest has arrived. And you want to give her another background? Like another lead up?
Yes. So with us is Heidi Hollis. She is an author, a podcaster, and she's been on Ancient Aliens. We're looking at some of the comics that you have. So we've just been doing a whole lot of research right before our interview today. You said you're kind of the jack of all trades.
Oh man, I appreciate it. And thanks for your patience. I have not one, but 2 different types of internet service, and they're both down.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I'm in the area where the tornado came through in Wisconsin. So I'm wondering if something happened and along those lines, because there's a lot of people still out of services. So
I know so many people from Wisconsin too.
Oh goodness, that
That's
sounds
scary.
Yeah,
I mean, in
that
Texas,
could be scary.
we get like not warnings, but like they go right over us and then they hit the next town. I feel.
Well,
Let me
yeah.
you
knock
say
on
that
some wood.
until it doesn't.
Yeah,
right.
but
I was going through the drive-through at a Dunkin' Donuts, and I looked up and I saw an inverted funnel cloud, and I'm like, "Do you guys see what's going on out here?" And they're like, "We just got a warning. It's coming straight at us." Right in Menasha, Wisconsin. That's the one that got devastated. I was right there. It's
man.
terrible.
Oh wow,
Terrible. But
scary.
nobody died. So that's the beauty of it.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I played baseball in college and stuff, and we went to Joplin like right after that big tornado happened, and it was like it would be like a driveway. That's all you'd see.
Yeah,
It was just so sad.
It flattens it.
there are some like that I'd seen. It's crazy. Just mere blocks from where I was. So I
Wow.
saw the tornado in the bathroom at a Dunkin' Donuts, believe it or not.
Well, hey, wherever you can get cover.
My mom always said, "Hug the toilet." She really did. She said, "If you can grab anything, grab the toilet because that's the only thing that's ever left." So
Gosh,
the bathroom was the right place.
that's so true. There were like 8 strangers gathered in the bathrooms, and the ladies and the guys were, it was wild. It was wild. Never
Mm.
been through anything like that.
Well, thank you for being here with us.
Yes.
Yes,
Despite all the difficulties, you're still here. Thank you.
yes, I'm holding on with my phone because it can't. It's crazy. I'm like, you know what? When I get weird stuff that stops me from doing something, that means I'm really supposed to do it. So I
There we
take
go.
a sign. I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to be here.
You absolutely are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And our viewers will come as the live goes on. So
Awesome.
maybe can we start like with, I think it's so cool that you coined the term shadow people. And I have a personal story about my dad, who was a very big researcher and a very well-known guy, but this was before he was well known, and he saw these things and he heard it on the radio. It might have been you that said it on the radio, and he felt like he wasn't alone
Oh,
in
wow.
this phenomenon or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. It's wild to me how far it's gone. I was just a college student that wrote a book about them in 1997. Imagine that. And
Wow.
it took me 2 months to write that book and 4 years to find a publisher. But in the meantime, I was sending it around trying to, get somebody to take a hold of it. And usually those were other people in the field. So, people had their own publishing companies that were paranormal investigators and whatnot. So word started spreading a little bit through that. But, I try to tell people it's like naming your rotten teddy bear something, and then everybody's like using that name, and And it's wild to me that people don't know where it started from, or they just conveniently forget, and just drop that this lady's been at this for a couple of decades plus. And I'm
Right.
like, my gosh, it took some convincing to get people to understand what these things were about, and especially paranormal investigators who were reluctant to an extent, saying that they thought that I was just mistaken. These were the shadows of ghosts. And I'm like, then you haven't met a shadow being yet. You haven't met
Mm-hmm.
Hat Man yet, because your very soul will tell you otherwise. So,
Yeah. And my dad was very serious when he told the story. So he said it was the realest thing that ever happened to him.
yeah.
And he was in bed, and there were these shadow beings like attaching themselves to his limbs and to his body. And he just said the name of Jesus as loud as he could, and they scattered.
Wow.
And I was like, that's the weirdest story. And I remember I messed up when I was a kid. I was messed up. But my cousin had heard the story too, and we were sharing a bed somewhere. We were like young. And I said, is that a shadow person? I was like kicking his leg, and he got real scared. And I was like, this is not a joke. Like, people see this stuff, and it's I don't know, it's so credible.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what was your first first experiences? Did you always see these shadow people? Like, I guess that's what you called it. We all call
Yeah.
it that now, but so tell us like kind of the origin story.
Well, interesting enough, I just put out a part one book called The Origin Story, Shadow People, The Origin Story, because I wanted people to understand that though I started speaking about this coming from a college age person, it took me some time to realize that I was actually experiencing these things when I was younger. And I didn't realize that's what was behind it. Um, the very first thing that let me know that something demonic was knocking at the door, I guess you could say, though I didn't witness a shadow being, that came later when something attacked my stepbrother. But I guess a long story short, an organ was moved in to my family's home. And it was literally, this is Christmas morning. We had just opened up all our gifts, myself, my two sisters, and my future stepbrother. We're just having a ball. My dad, future stepmom, like say, we're going to go and wish other people Merry Christmas. We'll be right back. We don't care. We have new toys. So we're like going crazy and playing with it. And all of a sudden this organ started playing by itself. Now, people that don't know old Western movies, myself and my sisters were big fans of these, and they had what's called automatic playing pianos, and we thought,
Oh yeah. Those are
this is
fun.
the coolest thing, right? And that's what I
Mhm.
thought, that's what we're thinking this is. We're like, this is amazing. How does this work? What's the button we have to push? And my stepbrother goes, it doesn't do that, And we're like, it just had to sink in, like, oh my gosh. And this thing was pounding all the dark, low tones that it could, and it was ba 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 ba, just going crazy. And we all shrieked, and we ran into the only room that has a lock, which is the bathroom, right? And we're in there for a bit, and I had a bully of a sister who goes, "Oh, it's too crowded in here. Somebody's got to get out." And of course, they kicked me out. So this is my first ghost hunting experience too. She throws me out. I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm 7 years old, by the way, at this time. And I'm like, I couldn't take it anymore. I'm just like, this thing is straight ahead of me, and it's just pounding all these loud sounds out. So I went and I got the keys for this, and I pulled the cover down and locked it, and it stopped playing. And my siblings start creeping out. They're like, I'm dictating to them, like, "Yeah, you could come out now, you chickens." Like, this this thing stopped playing. And as they're creeping out, something else started playing amongst all the wrapping paper from Christmas. And my siblings scream, run back in the bathroom. And I'm like already in the middle of this. I'm like, all right, this is on me. And I'm like, I'm going to find out what this is, and I'm digging, and I find this new toy my younger sister got. It was like an electronic guitar, and it was playing, going crazy. just and I'm like, I'm gonna take out the batteries, and I remember the my air just leaving me as I flipped it over to open this brand new toy, and of course it didn't have any batteries in it. And I'm like, it has no batteries. It has no batteries. And I remember like slowly putting it down, going back to the bathroom at the door and just sliding down, putting my face in my knees and continuing to cry. It's just I was
Oh, that's
so
such a nightmare.
Well,
it
you
was
know what it made
horrible.
me think of? Have you been to Disneyland or Disney World? This is
Oh
kind
yeah,
of weird.
yeah.
So there's the haunted mansion, and there's a
Mhm.
scene where there's like a ghost playing the piano, and that's what first came to mind. I was like, that's interesting. And then there's a Hatbox Ghost that they just put in there, and I'm like, do they know something? That's kind of strange, right?
Hold
Hat
on.
box.
Hat box. Does it look like the Hat Man?
I don't.
It's
I'll
just
here.
his
I'll
head,
let me
right?
let me see if I can find a photo of it on and then screen share it. It does
Oh,
have a head that disappears and it goes back into the hat box.
oh wow.
Um,
That's crazy.
he has a top hat.
Well, yeah.
But this I know too much about this. But um, for the longest time, nobody thought it was real. Like Disney denied it for the longest time, and that it even existed. So then they just put it in there, like
Mm,
it was like a mystery or like I don't know. Everybody remembers seeing it. It was like a Mandela, one of the first Disney big Mandela effects,
oh wow.
and it was very, very weird.
That's disturbing.
So I did just find a
So
photo
yeah.
of it. Let me pull this
Oh,
up.
I mean,
Image file.
his head appears back in the box. but-
Yeah, it goes from head to box to head. It's just weird. So they just put one there. It's like what?
yeah.
This is what he looks like.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
He's holding the little hat box.
And the hat box right there, that's where his head goes. But it's
Oh,
just kind
wild.
of interesting that it has those two scenes in there, and these
Right.
things seem to be real. I mean, happened to my dad. I mean, he was the most credible person I've ever known,
Yeah.
and I'm just glad I haven't had an experience. Knock on
Oh,
wood again.
yeah. Knock on that wood because there's so many people, and I have to tell you too, like being in this field for as long as I have, and being one of the first ladies really out there, right? And being a brown lady out there, I got a whole lot of poo-pooing. Oh, this little girl, what is she doing out
Mhm.
here? She knows what she's doing, what she's talking about. Shadow people. What is that? That's from the science fiction show, and just odd stuff like that. And, I had a lot of stuff that I had to conquer in order to get word out there. But fortunately, Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie took me in. I wrote my first book, got it out in 2001. It was out, I'd written it in 97, get it out in 2001. And I started talking about it, and it just took off. Thousands upon thousands of emails in the first night. And it's wild to me because even back then when I had television producers have me like be a guest on a show, they're like, well, how many of these cases have you had? I'm like, thousands and thousands. And you know what they did? They dubbed my voice and said, Miss Hollis has seen dozens and dozens. I'm like, what? It was
Man,
thousands.
that's the definition of fake news,
Oh
right?
my
Man,
goodness. I can't believe
How
that.
can they even replicate your voice? That's so messed
no,
up.
no, they're like, how many of these cases? Dozens and dozens. I'm like, oh
Oh,
my God.
so it was obvious.
At the weekend, maybe, it's like,
Mhm.
what are you talking about? So it's been really a struggle. And, I get people saying, well, why did you trademark Shadow People and Hat Man? I'm like, why did Stan Lee trademark
Yeah.
Spider-Man? Did you get
Mhm.
mad at him? It's like the abuse of I never thought to go looking to see, did anybody rip me off yet? I never thought to go looking. I was too busy trying to help people and put out the next book, right? And then I started hearing about, oh, well, your friend, your colleague, my colleague, who's that? And then when I would be asked to do these television shows, they're like, wow, you know so much about this. I'm like, yeah, because I kind of started it. Yeah, but we can't have a woman lead. we need to have a guy. Can you teach a guy everything you know? No, because it's my material. And do
Right.
you
Yeah.
It's me.
know, I go on these shows and I think I'm the only one. And then later I watch it. Who's this guy on there? They fed my lines to. And
That's insanity.
they look like a genius. And I'm like, they have a book out on my material. Are you kidding me? You know, so and the frustrating part is a lot of the times they're mixing the message out there, like nothing to fear here. Here, this is how you conjure them, you know? And I'm like, you're telling
That's not
people
what you want to do.
right.
So-
I'm like, you're
Yeah.
telling people to sacrifice their souls, you know? Ah, and then
Yes, it's sick.
oh my God, the Hat Man challenge, people have died. They've died,
Mm.
you know? And I'm
Now,
like,
what is the hat? Is it like the hat box ghost kind of looking?
I mean, it
It's
has a
just-
top hat.
It has a
like
top
that.
hat, and it's like
Yeah.
like a shadow person, or
well, the Hat Man, he does change his hat. He generally does wear a
Mm.
gecko type of hat like Zorro. He does
Oh.
generally have that, but he is often seen with a top hat as well. So that is a trait. And sometimes he doesn't wear a hat at all, but he changes it up sometimes. I've heard of bowler hats.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of hat. If it's a hat, it's the Hat Man. For
Is there
sure.
significance to wearing
yeah,
a
like
hat?
what
Do-
different hats?
Have you thought about that?
Oh yeah. You know, the interesting thing with Hat Man, so he could make himself blend into the shadows. You don't have to see him, but he likes to make sure you get a good look at who's bringing this terror on you. He wants to be recognized. He wants people to know it's him. How else to do that but to keep the same kind of mask like Spider-Man would, you know? Spider-Man could mix it up. You wouldn't know who that is, you know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
he wants that level of respect coming from his victims. I mean, he could do so many different things. But and it's interesting to me because the shadow people are essentially his minions. Now, when I first introduced the different types of shadow people, I had not experienced Hat Man personally. My college roommate had. And because of the way that she described him, I thought he was another form of shadow people. So I put out these different drawings that kind of showed, actually, I have it, kind of show the different forms that they come in. And this is my other book,
Huh? Um,
The Hat
I'm
Man.
not, I'm not the best at that.
Oh, sorry.
That's Jake's normal thing.
Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a shadow spider. There's the head and shoulders shadow. There's Hat Man with the top hat. You see him there.
Mhm.
There's a Grim Reaper shadow.
And there's the Zorro one. Yeah.
Yep, and there goes, yep. So the different forms that the shadow beings could come in. So that's called The Hat Man, a guide in comics on how to get rid of dark beings for all ages, because I had so many people asking how to get rid of them. And I put it in all my books. I have it free on my website, but people weren't always grasping how exactly to do it. So I drew it out since I'm a cartoonist and I'm like this, you know, I made it fun and, you know, silly. But the different forms of these shadow beings, you know, I called him the Hat Man shadow, which was a mistake because he is not a shadow being. And I know people will still call him the Hat Man shadow or Shadow Man or something. And that was my mistake. But I corrected that a long time ago, but it still sticks because the thing with Hat Man, he can step out of the shadows. You can see if he's clean shaven, if he has a goatee. You could see if he's got glowing red eyes. You could see.
So he's not like you can see through him. He's like it looks physical.
He could be very physical if he wants to. And he likes to talk. Shadow people, you might hear some whispering and hear some words and names sometimes, and they growl. They like to pin you down. And if you spot them, they'll either bum rush you, come straight at you, or take off. They don't like to be spotted so much. But Hat Man, oh, he'll smile. He'll give you a nice friendly grin with those shark teeth, or Pennywise from It, his teeth look like. And it goes from ear to ear like the Joker. It's disgusting. If you see his skin, his eyes are generally black. If you don't, his eyes sometimes are not seen at all, and they're glowing red otherwise. So he's very, very, very solid. You could see he wears a three-piece suit, a trench coat, a cape. Sometimes he changes his suit to be pinstripes. I mean, and a chained watch on his hip sometimes. Sometimes he has a cane. And some people will call something the laughing man and think it's a different character. Oh, no, he loves to laugh at people.
Mm.
He changes it up. And I tell people, I'm like, God forbid you see him, you really have some troubles, because when he shows up, he means business, and he's really coming for your soul. He really is. And the only thing that repels him is the name of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, in my dad's experience, that was the only thing. He was yelling help, he was yelling everything, but as soon as
Yeah.
he said Jesus, it went away.
Yeah.
So I think he was listening maybe to that radio program that you were talking about when he first was like, "Oh, I didn't know other people were having this kind of experiences." Like, and he felt crazy, but he wasn't.
So, what exactly do you believe? Like, are they demons? Are they extraterrestrial? Do you kind of want to go into
Sure.
your belief of your research that you've done?
Well, that's another interesting part, because a lot of people think, "Oh, well, you're a top researcher in this," and I'm like, "Well, I've done research now, but in the beginning, I didn't know anybody that was experiencing this." I have one friend that I'd seen this thing hanging on her. Next thing I knew, I was having experiences. I didn't realize it had a contagion element, and I grew up in a haunted house. I knew what ghosts were. I'd seen UFOs. I'd experienced odd things. I had no clue about this black mass of a thing. The one I first saw I call them the head and shoulder shadow. You could see them on my website, hatmanhelp.com or HeidiHollis.com. And I didn't know. It wasn't until myself and my college roommate had an encounter with a non-human being that let us know that we weren't dealing with just anything that was simple or easy to explain. I learned what I did about these beings, these shadow beings and Hat Man, from something that people would call an alien. And I did refer to it as an alien being. And it's not like a being that I've ever heard of before. It's not like, I don't even know. It wasn't the negative ones that abduct and abuse people. A lot of people talk about the grays, the reptilians, and all of that. But I had no experience with that at all. But I had UFOs that responded to me, that dropped down out of the night sky, 3 stories above me, just crazy, in front of a lot of friends. And I'm like, they can hear me. What is this? What am I experiencing here? So I didn't know. And this experience that happened with myself and my college roommate, her name was Samantha. She was very religious. She was Pentecostal, never cut her hair, the big skirts, and, everything was a demon to her, right? And all my college friends loved picking on me for believing in these odd things, and I just read into them. I had the UFO showing up, but I never had like missing time or anything like that. But this experience was something else. So she was driving through downtown Milwaukee, where I mostly grew up, and in broad daylight, a gelatinous, sparkly, see-through like being kind of appeared on the hood of her car, right? And she gets to her school, calls me in a panic. I don't know what she's talking about. She's like talking about a being and something else, and she's Puerto Rican, right? She has also a speech impediment. I don't speak Spanish. And I'm like, what? Slow down. I can't understand what you're talking about. We go to meet up, and she starts telling me how this being jumped on the hood of her car. I'm like, how'd you not have an accident? She goes, well, that's the thing, Heidi, it had a real calming effect to it. I was completely at
Mm.
ease, and I started asking it, "What are you? How are you here?" And she said, "Heidi, you know, like when you go to the dentist and your mouth gets numbed?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Suddenly my mouth went numb, and I'm asking it questions like, 'Who are you?' And my mouth started moving up and down, and it responded using my own voice."
Hmm.
I'm like,
Whoa.
"Okay, wow." But the odd thing at the time, I belonged to a UFO group, and there were two other people who, when they try to get hypnotically regressed to recall like their alien,
Experiences.
yes, instead of talking about what it is that they saw, a being came through and started talking through them.
Mm.
So I'd seen it before. And here's one of my closest friends, talking about this. I'm like, okay, I've heard of this. Okay. And then all of a sudden, I mean, she's telling me like the coolest story I've ever heard. And I'm like, really? Oh my gosh. And I want to ask her a bunch of questions, right? And then she goes, you know, I need to meditate. I'm like, meditate? You know, I didn't know this is something that she did, right? And she wants to meditate. She's telling me this story. And I'm like, and she closes her eyes for just like 3 seconds. And I'm like, sitting in my car, right? I'm like, well, okay. And just close your eyes so briefly. And all of a sudden, this voice comes through. And again, she's got a speech impediment and very, very thick accent. And this voice comes through with a super reduced accent. And it says, "Hello, I've been waiting to speak to you for a very long time." And I'm like, Samantha, what's going on
And you
here?
believe it's talking directly to you,
Through her. Yeah.
through her to you.
Yeah. And as crazy as it sounds, but again, I'd seen something like this before, and I'm like, Samantha, what the heck? What's going on? And she's an art major. She doesn't know anything about DNA, starts talking about DNA and all this different stuff. I'm like, whoa, hold on. And I'm like, who's speaking? And the voice says, "Well, I'm what you would call an alien." Oh, how convenient. Now I'm thinking she's pulling my leg, right? you know, though she's like, you and your demons, Pentecostal girl. And I said, "Oh, an alien. Oh, okay, where's your ship at?" It's like, "Oh, well, I cannot bring it down as low as I used to because your governments know how to shoot us down." I'm like, "Oh, isn't that convenient?" And I'm being a smart aleck, right, about it. And then all of a sudden it offers, "Oh, but I think I'm close enough to project an image of myself." I'm like, "Well, hold on. What?" And the car started humming, right? And this small, childlike looking being absolutely appears between us in the seat. And I actually have an image of that. Hold on.
Like a hologram, you think?
Yes, like a
How-
hologram. Oh, wrong one. I'm
You know
pulling it.
what's weird is like Disney has each of these things. They have the hitchhiking ghosts, they have the shadow beings, and they also have the hat box. And it's
That-
like they know these evil things.
Oh yeah.
Wild. I'm not seeing it here right now. That's so odd. Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. Thank God I got my cell phone, huh? To move
It'll
around.
move with you.
I don't know if you guys could see him.
Oh wow!
So it's like a small gray.
But it's a different. It's a
It wasn't a gray. It was very childlike, pinky, fleshy,
Oh,
smile.
the pink.
Yeah. Oops. Pink and
and it was small.
very small. 3 feet, maybe 3.5. Really, really tiny.
That's about how they described the Aurora alien. It's about 3 feet tall,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't say much about the color. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, this being had more like such a deep blue to its eyes, more deep blue, and smiley, more rounded features, not the sharp chin like the grays.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. He was. I was pinned up against the wall of my car, going, "Okay, I see you. I believe you. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just saw that." And I'm like, "Okay," And long story short, because there's so much had happened between that, my friend comes back, and I'm like, "Girl, what the heck?" And she's like, I don't know. All I know is I meditated and I could see him, I could see where he's at, and I could kind of hear him talking through me. I'm like, this girl would not play with that. She would not play with that. We go back to our shared apartment. She doesn't want to, she always hated reading English. She grabs all of my alien books, trying to read them. And she wants to talk to all my devil worshiping friends that go to the UFO group. That's what she called them, like, oh my God, I got to talk to somebody about this. I'm like, okay. Now, the odd thing with this, so, we're college age, and I know it's real. She knows it's real. And after all the hoopla and all the stuff, we calm down and we're like, I want to do it again, see if we could talk to him. Like, I want to ask more questions, And what did I ask? Lottery numbers, how can we get to the
Yeah, of course.
we asked the stupidest things, right? And this being would not answer. It would say things like, well, it would not benefit you to know that. If I told you where I'm from, you wouldn't know where that is. This long story. And I'm like, well, what the heck? Why appear? And he wouldn't
What's
give.
the purpose? Right.
Would not give. And another long story short, I shared a weird dream that I had. This is a long time, of us attempting different times to talk to him, and he's not giving in. Nothing. And I'm like, well, this is boring. What the heck? And I come up with this weird dream. I had a dream that was so real, I couldn't believe it didn't happen. I saw the moon coming towards the planet, and looks like it was going to destroy us. When all of a sudden this big UFO showed up next to it and started pulling the moon at an angle so it wouldn't absolutely kill us, right? And so I share this weird dream with this being talking to my friend. And he goes, well, I'm not in charge of dreams. Okay. Another blocked answer, And I'm like, okay. And he's like, but I could tell you what it meant. And he said, the darkness in your planet was pulling the moon towards the earth. We intervened and to stop it from destroying you. I'm like, what? Darkness in the earth? What is that? And that's when it said, you call them shadow people. We call them shadows. First, like, answer of any, I don't know, quality, and I'm like, and this started the journey to explaining what I was experiencing, what was going on, with the warning, they are here to take your souls. I'm here to tell you how to stop them. And this being also talked about the abducting types of aliens, what they were up to, how they were connected to the shadow beings, and what was at stake if we didn't learn that we are very powerful, and we need to know to call upon Jesus Christ. A so-called alien starts schooling me about Jesus Christ, And at the time I had stepped away from I wasn't going to church. I'm in college, I didn't believe in people saying, oh, Jesus is in my piece of toast, and I just thought it was ridiculous. And here I have a being that I saw my friend has experienced and constantly experiencing. And we learn that this was the battle of all battles, that the beings that were coming under the guise of being so-called aliens abducting people were essentially aiming for conquering people from the inside out, possession of a sort.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about possessed aliens, interdimensional beings. And now imagine, this is way back when. I'm like,
before Alex Jones was like interdimensional invaders, okay?
Yes.
yeah. And it's like I'm just my mind is gonna explode. And this is a weird element with this being. He said, and this was a male. He's like, you cannot discuss this with anybody. You cannot record me talking or anything like that. And I'm like, well, this is getting a lot less fun now. I finally got answered. And I said, well, what are we supposed to do with this information? And he said, well, your book will turn out nicely. I started laughing. I'm like, I am in college. I'm an occupational therapist now. So I was in a very difficult program. I'm working jobs left and right. I'm like, I don't have time to write a freaking book. You are out of your mind, you know? And so much went into the conversations. And I ended up writing that book in 2 months' time, working 3 jobs,
Mhm.
going full time to school to be a therapist, doing internships. It was that important because when I saw the matters of the soul and what was about to take place and some of the warnings that were given, they're happening now. Like I didn't know others were experiencing anything. You know, I put this out. I'm dealing with this myself, the shadow people, especially shadow spiders. Those things really, I hate spiders with such a passion. I'm like, they picked the right creature to come
Yeah,
to me
I hate
because,
bugs too.
oh my
All
God.
bugs deserve death.
So it was a difficult time. And then to have a remedy be presented by a being and it's telling us next time you see them, call on Jesus Christ. I'm like, how do you know anything about Jesus? What? And with so many interactions and so much that was going on at the time, it became clear. And I mean, this being is talking about matters of the soul when we go to cross over, how certain things are helped so people don't just suffer needlessly. And I'm like, oh, slow down, slow down, slow down. I'm like, are you telling me you do things like an angel would do? You know, like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and the being said, we've been called a lot of things throughout time. And went to say Jesus is who he says he is. We do nothing without being being guided by him. Everything is under his order that we do. And to have a being teach me that, and then to go on to talk about this on Coast to Coast AM, you know, where now millions have gotten the message, and your father even may have been helped by
Mhm.
my getting the opportunity to go on that show. And I've been a part of as a regular and then a host of my own podcast on their network to now doing their news segments on Coast to Coast AM for 25 years. So it, where it's led me is has been just beyond measure. And to have this being tell me all these years ago, your book will turn out nicely, just and also said that I, where it's going to end up, I wish I could tell you, but I can't. But it's all for the better. And
Mhm. Amen.
yeah, yeah, so much happened. And there's an element too that I don't know how people take things, but I've been really fortunate in being kind of casual and talking about the things that I do, right? I have a sense of humor. I'm a cartoonist. I'm glad you like the comics.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
website.
we love the Bigfoot conspiracy element to it.
Yeah.
Right up our alley.
Yeah, I wrote a children's book where our 3 cats go and they hunt for Bigfoot, and
Oh,
it's fun.
Yes.
I love that. That comic, the website's getting rebuilt. It had a whole bunch before, and I'm just shifting everything. And yeah, it's about a Bigfoot. There's a haunted homestead cabin, and a homesteader moves in, and then there's an alien that moves in on the other hill, and the Bigfoot's ticked off. And when he wants to chill out, he goes into town and shaves himself down and hangs out with the locals. They just don't know that he's a
I
Bigfoot.
love that.
It's fun.
But the children are
That's
very
awesome.
attracted to him because he smells like a wet dog, and they don't know why they have to be around him. So it's fun.
They're like that stinky guy over there.
Yeah. It's like, I can't stop. I have to be around this guy. He's got wet dog smell. But so I think having a sense of humor and
Oh
I,
yeah.
if there's any criticism I've ever received over the years, it's like, she's just too casual and too fun or whatever, talking about demons and stuff. But I don't think we have to have a flashlight under our chin in order to get a message out there. I think, in fact, that scares people more sometimes. Like I'm a medical
Mhm.
professional. People Google me. They're like, dude, you're sitting right here. I wouldn't believe this if it was anybody else. But since it's you and you seem so normal, I'm like, great. So I think sometimes people need to have that approachable personality for these things too, you know? So
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that you said it had a calming spirit to it when as it was communicating, I
yeah.
think that's almost setting the example of like this. I mean, we should be calm in conversations like this. We don't have to have anxiety and be freaking out because, like you said, in the end, we win. You know, God wins, and there's nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, but I totally agree with the laughter and comedy. Like with our show, we do current news and then we do histories, mysteries is what I call it, but where we go back and look at stuff and then we laugh. Like we have a segment where it's just funny stuff because I mean I feel like there's so much darkness in the world.
Yeah.
It's fun to laugh. You know,
Oh.
it's important.
Oh yeah, it's very important. I don't know how I would have made it through any of this without having a sense of humor. I think it would have driven me a little crazy, but and you know, I'm glad that you guys aren't afraid to express that you have a faith as well, because in the beginning, so many people thought accept aliens or God, you know, like I didn't understand that. I'm like, for me in the beginning, I had walked away from any thought of going to church. You know, I was raised Methodist, really laid back religion part.
So was I. So was I. I was Methodist growing up.
I mean, it's so chill. It's so laid back. It's like they don't drill it in your head, but it was it was like I think it was a good basis to have, right? But I stepped away from it because the things I was experiencing were more real than practicing to sit still in a church as a kid, you know? Like I'm seeing ghosts, I've seen angels, I've seen demonic things, I've seen aliens, you know. This is more real. Jesus seemed more like a historical figure for me, right? That's supposed to show up one day and you got to say your prayers in his name. Now, during that time that I was met with that non-human being that I now refer to being as more angelic, because I think that those words, like even with your father, look how many peoples who were spared from learning. You call on Jesus in the name of these things. Even the negative aliens, by the way, you use that name, and if they can't handle it, they weren't meant to be there. And it's so powerful. But during that time, I had an experience that I have nothing to compare to. I'd never had something like this before, and I haven't had anything like it since. I was talking to that college roommate, Samantha, in my living room, talking to her. I'm going to go use the restroom real quick, you know? And I'm talking to her as I'm walking towards the bathroom, and all of a sudden, I'm not there anymore. And it's just so strange to say, but I was absolutely looking at a scene in space, in the middle of the universe. I knew that's where I was. I saw what was like a spinning sun, okay? And I'm not new age or anything like that. I saw a spinning sun, and inside this sun were trillions upon trillions of balls of light, and each light was a soul. And I was one of them. And the sun spun, right? And each of these souls would contribute to a thought that would pass them, or a goal or an idea, whatever it was. And it would go to the center of it and become one. And a thought came by of something that needed to be done. And I remember just clear as day going, I think that's something I could do. And it was like everybody took a step back and said, well, she said she'd do it. I'm like, well, hold on now, you know. And all of a sudden, I'm getting pulled out of what felt like a love soup of light. And I went tearing through this cold space. And I went to go get taught how to prepare for this lifetime right now, right? And this lifetime was to introduce and warn people of shadow people and Hat Man, and to let them know that their souls were at risk. And now, mind you, I'm walking through my living room, frozen in space. And I come back to my body and I'm like, oh, how can I forget? How can I forget? How can I forget? And I go to sit back down on my couch, and my roommate goes, forget what? To use the bathroom? You didn't go. and I'm like, how can I forget who I am and what I'm here to do? And I was like, I'm a student to become a therapist? Oh, this is not what I'm here for. I went to grab my phone to drop out of school, and she had to chill me out. She's like, stop, stop, stop. What did you just see? And I told her. And it was that day that I made flyers, and I was like, I have to start a group, and I have to start talking to people. And that's how I started my group called UFO to You. And I had it for 15 years at the local library. Talking about UFOs, aliens mostly, and then the shadow people and anything paranormal. But that was a major experience. But it wasn't that long after that I had an experience even more profound that, I in the Secret War book, the first version of it, I wrote a chapter bashing the idea that people ever saw Jesus. I was such a skeptic. I'm like,
Mhm.
it was really big people saying, he's in my tree trunk or he's in my piece of toast. I'm like, shut up. I'm like,
Yes.
this is stupid, and I was like, I literally wrote in there, and this is really cocky. If Jesus were around, I think I would have seen him by now, because I'd seen so much. I'd experienced so much at that stage that I just honestly thought people were mistaken in what they were witnessing. And I took great pride, by the way, picking on my friends who went to church on a Sunday because they're going to bed early on a Saturday. Come on, let's go out. Like, no, I'm going to go to church. I'm like, oh, come on. Oh, whatever. So I took great pride picking on them. And they thought, because I was into the UFO topic, that I was a devil worshiper or something. I'm like, well, say a prayer for me, because I'll probably start on fire if I stepped in a church, just being silly. But I believe God was real and Jesus was real, but it just sounded more like a history lesson when it came to Jesus. But I had an encounter with him that really changed everything for me. And it was the first of several. Little did I know. And I could go into that a little bit if you guys would like. I mean, it's a little.
Please, yes.
Yeah.
So again, Samantha, I came home and I would take like a nap and then go to class or something. I worked at 5 a.m. to like noon. I came home. I'm like, turn your TV down. I'm gonna take a quick nap and then go to school. And I did that. I go to my bedroom to go lay down on my bed. You fix your pillows, you get on the bed, take a nap. I went to lay on this bed and I missed and hit the floor. I was like, how the heck did I do that? I mean, it was a big boom. I'm like, oh, I'm like getting up, like, golly, Heidi, you must have been really tired. I'm straightening myself up and getting up, and I'm not there in my bedroom anymore. And I'm looking around. I am in front of my parents' home. I don't know how I got there. And I'm trying to make the best sense of it that I could. I'm like, well, Heidi, you're supposed to go meet your family friend named Quincy. I'm like, you just don't remember how you got here. And I'm telling you, I'm like, I'm touching the wall. I'm like, I'm feeling I'm here. Okay, I got here. This is so weird. My parents have a long driveway, right? And I start to see this guy walking up the driveway. I'm like, there goes Quincy now, the family friend I was going to meet a few days, later. There he is. Okay, that's what happened. And as he gets barely even close, I'm like, oh, that's not him. That's not him. And I'm burying my face. Oh gosh, I'm totally palming my face. And he comes up in front of me, and I'm palming my face, and he goes, hello, like he's going to talk about the weather. And I'm like, hello. And he goes, do you know who I am? If you knew who I was, you would not hesitate to say it. And I pulled my hands away from my face, and I was stuttering. I said, well, you're Jesus. I don't speak Spanish. Why did I call him Jesus? I did not know. And he said, yes, I am. And I looked and saw he had risen off the ground. And now the family friend Quincy is a African American, is a black guy. He was darker tone. He did have shoulder length hair. I could see a very, very bright light coming from behind him that absolutely shadowed his face. He had on an off-white robe, and he started talking about his life. And as he's talking about his life, he's saying so much about what he did, what he aimed to do, and how so much more needed to be done. Well, I'm still silly Heidi going, oh my God, in my head going, this is really happening. Holy smokes. And I'm hitting my leg. I'm hitting my leg really hard. I am pinching. I'm practically digging into my leg. I am here. I'm here. And then I touched the ground right next to me. And that's when I kind of gasped and was like, oh, I'm on my knees. I don't even remember falling to my knees, I'm thinking to myself. And as I'm touching the ground, he stops talking. And I feel like a kid that was caught, not paying attention to class. And I'm stuttering like I don't think I've ever stuttered before in my life. Like, and I'm going, what do you want me to do? Like, why are you telling me all this type of thing? And he like kind of helped me stand up. And he said, first, you need to show us some things. And I remember looking around. I'm like, I see nobody else but him. I'm like, oh my goodness, he's talking about his daddy,
The big guy.
Right. And I swear, I am blown away. And he said, you need to finish writing your book. Do not worry what other people say. Know that I'll be there to give you the words. And I didn't know until more recently how biblical that is for him to say that.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know. And I was like, he started telling me something else, right? And I'm really close to his face. I should have been able to see his face, but I can't tell you what his face looked like.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw his lips moving. I saw him talking. And he started saying something I knew I wasn't supposed to recall until it was time. And it was like perfect silence. And then I knew he had to go, right? And I've been in practically a state of shock this whole time. I'm like, think of something, Heidi, think of something fast. Ask him something, right? And I'm like, hold on, what's my real name? I don't know why I asked him that. I have no idea. And he laughed at me. To say Jesus laughed at statues, like, but he laughed. He laughed lightly, right? And he goes, I love you very much, Ilya. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty name, like Ilya. Okay. And I just try to hold on to that. And then I was, boom, back in my bedroom. And I wasn't on the floor. I was on that bed. And I don't even know how to tell you the love trickles from the inside out. So tremendous. So tremendous. I didn't want to move. If it just was that, I was that enamored. And so I stayed there in that position for as long as I could until the love started to fade away, right? And it was something, something else happened immediately after that. That was absolutely terrifying. But so many elements, so many different things, so many things to talk about. But I went to go knock on the wall to get Samantha's attention. Like, oh my, I just saw Jesus,
You're not going to believe this.
Right. I knew she'd be thrilled, and boy, something else happened that was so crazy. I'll tell it quickly because it's almost like I don't like giving it so much attention. But I didn't know, again, that this was something typical that happens to people. I went to go reach the wall, and I found I couldn't move. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And all of a sudden, I felt drugged back into a similar scenario. I was inside my parents' home, and I'm like, where am I now? And I'm looking at it, right? It is so distorted. absolutely distorted. I'm like, well, this doesn't look right. And then this thing, ugh, I get horrible chills, came over my shoulder, and it was wearing like a meat mask of a family member with solid
Mhm.
black eyes.
Oh,
Yeah, it was horrible. Ugh. And it spoke like a snake would. It had this dragging of an S behind everything. And it said, "Are you sure of what you saw?" And I looked at this thing, and I was like, "What?" And it said, "Are you sure it wasn't Quincy that you saw, the family friend?" And I was like, I know who I saw. And I started to say Jesus, and it said, "There goes a Quincy now." And it moved this replica of my friend 3 different times, walked across the room and stopped. And I'm like, "Look, I don't know what what you want from me, but I know who I saw." And who I saw was, and I started to say his name again. And that's when I heard the most god awful shattering of like 1,000 glass panes or something. And I turned to look where this shattering sound came from, and that's when this creature had stepped back, and another horrific looking creature had a dagger in its hands, and it was a wavy looking dagger. I've never seen anything like it. And he pulled back, and he was just about to stab me with it. And I was just like, Jesus, real fast. And I felt like this hand absolutely grabbed me from like my chest and just yanked me up. And boom, I'm back in my bedroom. And I mean, I'm wailing on the wall, like trying to get Samantha's attention. I'm like, I
mhm.
don't know what is going on here. But apparently, when people have had an encounter with Christ, it often gets followed up with something trying to get you to doubt what you saw. I didn't know
Right.
that.
Mhm.
I did not know that. So that was the first encounter I had with him. And I had to rewrite that chapter in the Secret War book. I had to rewrite it because I had bashed the idea that people saw him, and I threw that in there. And I've gotten so many questions over the years, like, that was random. You throw in a Jesus encounter. I'm like, I said, well, I was bashing him. I had to correct myself, and um, yeah, and not be shy about it too. So I absolutely,
Absolutely. If he saved you
Yeah.
from that horrible situation,
yeah,
give him
yeah,
the glory.
yes. And which kind of leads into my newest book, The Anomalies, right?
Here,
Absolutely.
pull up a
Yeah.
photo of it. So
So this is
one.
your newest book,
Yes.
Medical Mysteries, Jesus Encounters, and Stigmata. Can you talk to us about what Stigmata is for those of us
'Cause I
that
have-
might not know?
I didn't know until today.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, I was kind of like you when I learned of it. I saw the horror movie. I thought it was a great horror movie. But I thought it was, it's so much that's happened. Okay, so this is a little over 5 years ago. I was essentially told that I had something called synesthesia. I didn't know what that was. Essentially, that's a crossing of the senses that has been scientifically proven um, to experience. Like some people will have like they'll see a letter, the letter A, but they always see the color orange behind it, or the letter B and always blue is behind it. And this is consistent. And they've been able to prove it by looking at functional MRIs and see the crossing of the senses, different parts of the brain lighting up that shouldn't. So I found that I had a lot of synesthesia, and one of them being the rarest, called being a machine empath, feeling inanimate objects to feel what they feel, and including computers, and to the point where they would do favors for me. Okay, it sounds so odd. I honestly thought, because a lot of people in these fields, we often experience weird phenomena. This is
Mhm.
typical, but apparently having them respond is not. And this person that was essentially helping me figure out the levels and layers of it had me film what I was talking about. And they couldn't believe it. I'm like, well, yeah, a lot of people have this, don't they? Like, no. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. So when I was told that I had so much synesthesia, like different types, there's over 100 different categories. I did not know that. I'd never heard of it before all of this. I said, well, I wonder if that has something to do with all these medical anomalies that I have. And they're like, well, like what? What do you mean? And I shared a partial list of some of the medical anomalies that I have that are mostly congenital. Excuse me. And they said, oh, this is interesting. Do you mind if I share this with somebody? And I'm like, what do I care? I'm in the medical field. I have a decent understanding of syndromes and things that show up in people. And I really did my due diligence at the time and trying to find out what kind of syndrome this was to have all the things that I did. I'm like, it's got to be something, and I'll go into what some of those diagnoses were here in a minute. But so this lady, she sends my stuff over to another author who happens to be a religion scholar, but they wrote in different things and thought it would be fun to work together. And it turns out I every once in a while I get like really pointed dreams that'll tell me you need to be over here, you need to go over there, you need to do this, and I had two of them to move in the direction of where this religion scholar was. It was really odd. And then I got two TV show offers to do. Now this was during COVID, and unfortunately, it was it was a difficult time for a lot of people and a lot of television projects. But at the time, we didn't know all that. And I was living on the West Coast. I was living in California, and I had to move all the way over to near the East Coast to work on these projects. And with the scholar, during COVID, when all the state lines were closed, and oh man, it was such a nightmare. Excuse me, I get a drink. So anyways, I go over there and I met with this person who I just name as Chris, shook their hand, and they're like, Heidi, you have a level of stigmata that we haven't seen since the first one. And I'm like, Stigmata. I'm thinking back, movie. That was a bloody movie. It was a bloody horror movie. It was good though. I forget the actress's name that's in it. But I'm like, okay, what does that mean? It's like, who's the first one? And then I get told about Saint Francis of Assisi. This individual, I believe he was a monk who had essentially got what appeared to be like nails protruding through his wrists and I think his feet, and then he had a cut on his side, and he got it in an instant. And it was so profound. He was the very first one to ever have what's called stigmata, are the marks of the crucifixion of Jesus, right? And I'm like, oh, I that's interesting, but I don't understand what you're saying to me. Like, what's the value of being told this? You know what I mean? And it's so much that occurred in my mind at that time while I'm being told this. And as somebody who's experienced and witnessed Jesus, not just through like these visionary things, but he also healed me. I had some horrific things happen where he showed up and suddenly I didn't have the issue anymore. And one of them was a brain aneurysm.
Wow.
He shows up, I'm in the middle of surgery, and it's ICU, rapid brain surgery. You've got all these people digging in your brain. You're awake for it, by the way. Jesus
Mhm.
almost laughs at me again. I'm like, how a friend looks at you like, what you do this time? That's what he
He
did.
thinks you're hilarious.
Yeah, right, yeah. I guess he totally did that. And then I hear the surgeons talking. Well, that's the figure 8. Talking about the thing that looks like an aneurysm, and I'm awake, right? I said, it's the infinity symbol. It means I'm gonna live forever. Can you close me up now? They all laughing. And they're like, well, if it wasn't aneurysm, it's not one anymore. And I'm like, I know Jesus was here. So anyways, moving on. But
Yep. Close it up.
yeah. So to have somebody say to you, and I don't want to make this sound like it's a casual reaction I had at all, because I take it so very serious. He saved me so many times. And you're going to attribute something to me. I didn't earn this. If that's what you see here, then these are his marks, is what I said, and I understand the level of interest to even tell me this. So it was a moment that kind of made my stomach sink. It was nothing to celebrate. It was nothing like yay me or anything like that. And I in fact just took it as the opinion of somebody that just knows biblical stuff, moving on. And then being in the medical field again, I'm like, one of the diagnoses that really caught their attention, I have, and all these things have a medical diagnosis. So again, I'm thinking more along those lines. They're called intraosseous ganglion cysts in the lunate of the wrist. So right in the center of my wrist, it looks like a bullet hole, okay, going through the center of it. I know having one is rare, but to have two of them there's only a few of them, okay? But I'm thinking, well, how many people go around getting their wrists x-rayed? I'm thinking logically about it, not like it's a magical something. And then I found that I had some other strange anomalies. I have a loose rib between the fifth and sixth rib. Oh, that lines up with something. And again, at this time, I don't know any of that. I didn't know that there were so-called specific areas of the crucifixion that were considered stigmata. I had no idea of this. I knew about even in the horror movie, they showed the palms and the feet. And still to this day, I don't know if anything's in my ankles or feet. I've never had images done. And in fact, I'm kind of nervous to look, because I apparently have all the other marks of what was considered stigmata. And that would be the wrists. My knees are split. A lot of people have, well, I shouldn't say a lot of people, something called bipart patella, meaning your kneecap is split in half, right? There's 3 different types of bipart patella. It usually happens to guys. Women, it's like 2% of the population. And then of that, to have both knees, it's even slimmer chance to have that. And the form that I have, again, there's type 1, type 2, type 3. I don't have any of those. I have one that's called medial bipart patella. It's not even on their list. I think there was one other in the world ever to have that. And I didn't know it was considered a stigmata mark. So it's the rib, it's the wrist, and also the neck. I never heard of this before, but I have several anomalies in the neck that I equate, and I don't name one of them just for various reasons, but it's something that kind of resembles an internal decapitation. So apparently with Christ walking with the cross, on the Shroud of Turin, it's seen that the cross hit him in the neck and caused an injury. So, and they base the crucifixion marks off from the Shroud of Turin. Again, I wasn't really familiar with that. That's something that Catholics, I think, are a lot more familiar with such a thing. And being a Methodist, my mind is being blown over again and again. And I was so many times, like I'm trying to point my energy towards working on a project with this religion scholar, right? And it became clear that that was not to be, because the conversation kept pointing back to myself, to the point where I felt like I was being studied. But why? It didn't make sense. The television shows got canceled because of COVID. so many things went on, and it was quite a journey. And it got to the point for myself, I got really uncomfortable because I literally told the scholar, I said, look, I can imagine, I just can't imagine anybody who's actually had an encounter with Jesus would want to block a single hair on his head from being glorified. You know,
Mhm.
like that just doesn't suit me. I don't feel comfortable with this. And I didn't know what they wanted. And it was just a whole lot. And there were some elements that took place that got even more uncomfortable. But in the last contact that I had with this person, I was informed that they were actually there on by order of the Vatican.
Hmm.
The Vatican were sent to study me in this capacity. And I was in denial, you know. I moved away from the area, but it kept eating at me. I'm like, what was all of that? You know, what was the point of that? And I kept stepping away from, not understanding the significance, and nothing was really well explained to me. And I found myself for the next 5 years doing my best to disprove everything that was told to me. And I was met with some interesting people along the way. One of them includes a CIA medical scientist who likes to take on medical mysteries. Okay. And I didn't bring up, like, I was just told this and that, about the stigmata. And I wanted to know what syndrome I had. I wanted to know why I have bilateral, like both sides of me having a lot of really odd stuff. And I was looking at the odds of having it. It's just astronomical. It's astronomical. I was born without glands under my tongue for saliva. It's like, what, two others in the world that are missing one. I don't have either, and it's just a
What in
lot.
the world?
It's a
Yeah.
it's a whole lot. I was born
So,
with. Mhm. Go ahead.
sorry. On the cover of the book, you have two hands. Are those your hands? Sorry, the camera's going to move.
Yes.
Move my way.
You could more
No, my way.
on the right hand.
Hold on. Okay, there we go. Oh, no, now
Sorry,
it's
I
following
put my
me.
hands up and then I messed our camera up.
Oh no, that's
Okay, we're good. We're good.
Okay, so we have the picture. There it is.
there. Those are mine, and on the right side, you can more clearly see the hole going through the wrist. The left one is they're not identical. There's a smaller hole on the left side, but the right side, if you zoom in, you can be able to see it.
I don't know if I can zoom. Everybody look real close at their screen.
Everybody squint.
Let me see if I can make it bigger.
No,
there.
that did not make it any bigger.
Well, we tried.
That's as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
No, thanks, StreamYard.
Well, you're going to have to buy the book and you're just going to have to look at it really close.
Yeah.
Because we can't make it any bigger, guys.
Now, is
Yeah.
it the wrist or the is that what
It
we're
is.
looking at?
It is the wrist, and
Okay.
that is actually scientists have found that it is in the wrist, and I believe on the Shroud of Turin it also shows through the wrist and palms. So, but
I wonder
again,
why that is. Why there's so many translations of where the markings were.
Mhm.
You know?
yeah, I don't
You said
know.
you got it from the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah.
And that was, I guess, so, I mean, if you believe that that was Christ,
Mhm.
that's where it's got to be.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets to such a level of mystery that has absolutely blown my mind that I would have never ever guessed to be sitting here talking about. I've only talked about this like maybe 6 times. This is like my 6th time on the air speaking of it. So I'm not really smooth in talking about this, and I don't want to come across as casual about it, because it really, for the past 5 years, I mean, I stopped posting so much online because I felt like I couldn't be honest until I understood the mystery of what all this was. And then I started feeling selfish. I'm like, well, what's the purpose of somebody having stigmata? How does the church view that? Well, it's seen as to give evidence of God's presence, and it helps people in their faith. Well, I felt like so much focus was on me that I thought it would miss the point, and I
Mhm.
want that attention. I'm like, who really would? Who really would? You know, and I just it was a struggle. It was really a difficult time for me these past 5 years. A really difficult time. And I don't know. I really had to dig deep, and and wanting to vent about it a little bit. I would talk to people online sometimes. I'm like, what if you were told you had this? How would you feel? And people would send me pictures of their hands with a freckle. Well, I've got it too. Oh, it was like, me too. I've got stigmata. How about you? I'm like, I said, I'm being cornered by the Vatican. I'm really having a difficult time here, and I just didn't understand it. And the reasoning behind why they were coming my way. But in these years, I was met with, like I said, the CIA agent. I was met with a professor of anatomy. I was met with an Anglican priest, one of the top Shroud of Turin researchers in the world. I had a lot of people who really helped me come to understand, as much as I tried to disprove what was told to me. I had to bend the knee, essentially. I had to, because everything pointed to the unlikelihood of what this all meant. And even in throwing some of these diagnoses, I have like over 50 of them that are really odd, and several of them are very rare. And just to put the ones that fall in the pattern of the shroud, and asking AI, what are the odds of having this? Well, it's many times the population of the world ever, several times over, or it's an impossibility. And it wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy. And even with talking to the CIA scientist, you ever talk to a grumpy old guy that sounds like he's screaming all the time? That's
Oh yeah, we took care of one.
Aw.
that's what this guy sounded like. And he liked to take on medical mysteries and help figure things out. And don't talk to him about anything, except for the medical stuff. Okay, he's like, I want to figure this out. Okay, sure, awesome. And then one day he's like, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm like, I'm listening, dude. I'm listening. I'm on it. And he starts talking about the Atacama skeleton. I don't know if you're familiar. It's a
Mm-mm.
6-inch skeleton that was found in the Chilean desert, and it looks like an alien. So, and they
Oh, I
call
think we talked about that.
Yeah, it's like it looks like a
Yes,
little alien gray that has
yep,
little Chinese eyes.
yes, yeah, that's the one. And he starts bringing that up, and I'm like, what? What is he talking about something weird to me for? And he's like, do you see this? He said the medical scientific world was put on edge with the revelation of this being human and having 7 novel mutations. I'm like, what's his point, And he goes, and I believe you have 30 to 40. And I'm just like, paused, and he goes, do you hear me? I said, I hear you. I said, I'm looking at this little alien thing. I'm like, why are you comparing me to this
Right.
thing?
I'm
don't-
weirder than that thing.
Yes, and that's what he was saying. And I'm like, and then he was interested in trying to have a similar study done on me, right? He was looking for, he wanted to look for funding and all this stuff. And he's like, would you be interested? And I was like, well, I would love to know what I have. I don't want to be found to be related to that, though. But so he goes, I had to consider if you were a hybrid or not. An alien hybrid? I'm like, why would you go there? He said, but I know you're not. He said, in fact, I know this is divine. Do you hear me? He keeps saying. I'm like, I I hear you. And he goes, and the next time when one of the Vatican's top scholars tells you something, you believe them. He said, now, if you allow me, I'd like to speak to my priest about this. What? Where am I? Like I was speechless. I was speechless. Hey, I said, do you know this Vatican person? I didn't say I knew them. I will not confirm nor deny. It was like out of a movie. And I'm like, where am I? What is, and whew, that day I barely slept. It was really something. It was really difficult to let sink in. But and then it such a conundrum. You think you know yourself. I remember why I'm here. And then I get told something like this. I couldn't help but to look to the heavens and say, really? You didn't tell me anything. Like I haven't seen Jesus since what was that, 2011? I think it was 2011 the last time I seen him. It's not like he's stopping by, and I haven't seen him a ton, and he was never very chatty, you know. But to be told something like this, it leaves you really searching your heart and your soul, and like, I have been selfish. Oh my gosh, what can I do? Why didn't this Vatican person explain this to me? Instead it was cloak and dagger and wanted me to get examined and have full body scans. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Our cat.
That's
We have
okay.
a cat that's about to mess up the camera.
Oh, that's fine. So, there were a lot of conversations, a lot of evidence that was given to me. And one of the things that the Vatican person told me was why they were especially interested in my case is apparently people, when they get stigmata, you can be hypnotized to bleed in a certain part of your body as well. They've proven this. So they think it's all psychosomatic. But mine is in my bones, except for the one scar I was born with here. And they said that's the crown of thorns stigmata mark. I did find out what this is. I thought, now this is me being silly again, I'm baby number 8. My mother probably was like, well, that one busted her head. We're not going to stitch that up,
Right.
like it'll heal. But I've always asked, where did I get this big scar from? I would always put my hair over it. And I found that it was something so freaky rare. There's like 25 reports ever in the world to have. It's called congenital morphia in coup de sabre, which means strike of the sword. People generally get it after they're born. I had mine, as an embryo, like, and it faded out born. So I'm like, it's like Harry Potter. What is that? I didn't understand, but it's just been so much that it's the stacking of the diagnoses. It's so many
Right.
things, so rare. And then to have somebody recognize it at the level that it did, and then to have not one but 2 scientists, and it's been a lot. And I just thought, if I was able to put my mind at ease and my guilt at ease for not following through with what they wanted, I don't know, that I would just feel more settled, but everything kept saying, no, Heidi, no, this is the only way that this could happen. And even AI said it's as if I have the same makeup as everybody else, but with different blueprint instructions. And that I was considered an outlier of what it is to be human. And, but not hybrid. And the CIA guy would know. You know, I learned more about him. Oh my, I didn't know who I was talking to. But there's other things that there's so much to the story that I'm not sharing here. But
Well, hopefully it's all in your book.
Yeah.
it is. There's so many things, but I'll if you guys, you're familiar with the X-Files series, yeah?
Yes.
Mhm.
So there was a spinoff called Millennium. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. A lot of people aren't.
No.
Mm.
So it was a character that would come on X-Files every once in a while. The character's name was Frank Black. He looked into more occult practices and stuff that happened, and they would investigate. He gets its own series. It's just before New Millennium, and I was watching the show with my friends, college friends, and I'd stepped out to go grab a drink or something and come back in the living room. And my friends are laughing like, Heidi, it's the third and final season premiere, right? And they're like, Heidi, there's a new character on here. It looks just like you. I'm like, shut up. Come on. I sit down and there's my doppelganger. I'm like, well, hot diggity dog. That's weird, And I have to say, this is all my own personal perspective. I'm not alleging anything. I just have to.
Okay.
And then they call her Agent Hollis. Okay. We're like, the Twilight Zone moment. We all froze. No. I'm like, that's freaky. We saw the spelling. It was my last name. I said, all right, that's odd. As the season goes on, right, they introduce the character's sister. Has my sister.
You said you're going to say my character.
Yeah, I know. I have to be careful. But the character representing somebody that looks like me and has my name and face. She has a sister with the same nickname I gave my sister. And then they introduce her. It's my dad's first and last name, James Hollis. I was done. I said, what are the odds of this? I called my dad up. I said, Dad, we're on TV. He said, what show? If I wasn't the only brown lady looking into weird topics, it might be a coincidence, but it was just, I was the only one, And he goes, what show? And I tell him, and he goes, huh. And he doesn't say anything more, right? Flash forward like 20 years. My dad is getting a touch of dementia and he wants to come clean about something. And he goes, I need to talk to you. I'm like, okay, Dad, what? Well, I need to apologize. Oh, okay. And he says, and he's speaking dad, code. Well, if I knew they were taking you, I would have told them to knock it off. What? Who? And I'm like processing because he's not answering any further. I'm like, I had to think. I had military abductions. I was taken, interrogated by people in military outfits at least 3 different times. And I'm like, hold on, Dad. The most traumatic things I've ever experienced in my life, you're telling me you knew? How would you know who to call? And he said, well, they probably thought I told you something. And then he goes, Heidi, what are the odds that I am who I am? And my daughter goes and writes books about it. I said, Dad, who are you? I don't know where we're going. That's when I learned my dad ran a NORAD station, Northern Air Defense System. He was military intelligence. And I said, oh my gosh, Dad, that television show. And he goes, yeah, I don't know how that was allowed to slip. And I said, huh? I said, Dad, but you don't understand. The character that played somebody like me didn't know her father was military intelligence until he got Alzheimer's. And you're telling me because you got Alzheimer's. What is this? What is this? And the weirder thing, like there were only 3 seasons of this show. The first 2 seasons were about the occult and stuff like that. Well, the 3rd and final season was about the apocalypse and how they were the secret societies were trying to control the apocalypse through my character. What? It's crazy. You just can't make this stuff up. So
we're gonna have to go watch
Yeah,
that
we're
show.
definitely gonna watch it. And
And we're gonna be like, we know her.
we're gonna text you when we see it.
So there's some things in it that are still playing out in my life from that show. And the weird part is, last I checked, this show isn't even on Blu-ray. It's not streaming. You could find bootleg copies of it online,
Ooh,
just only as a DVD. Why would a successful show not be streaming? What? It's weird.
right?
It's
Especially
weird.
a spinoff of a very popular show like X-Files.
It makes no sense. And
They want it buried.
they want it buried. And oh, there's so many things I can share about it. Because I'm in the field that I am, and I work, I've been on a lot of different shows, and then working with Coast to Coast AM. Um, I've been contacted by, people from three-lettered agencies who have told me things about myself and my family that uh, it's letting me know that we have been observed for a long time.
Hmm.
Like, wow, how comfortable would you feel? I'm just like, this so much. And I don't mean to make light of it. It's been a weird life. And I grew up in a haunted house. I've always had odd things going on. I think that's why I'm more chill about a lot of things. But I also learned, well, you could ask my many nephews have tried their little cute hearts out to scare me. I don't startle. I don't jump. I'm not ticklish. I don't know. I'm just a really kind of easy, same level with whatever happens. And so I don't want people to think I take anything lightly, because it the things that have happened, and the way that it's happened and laid out. There's a pattern. There's a it doesn't leave me confused. A lot of people ask me, "What is it? Do you feel confused about anything? How could you experience these things and sleep? How do you sleep at night?" I said, "Usually I sleep on my left side, so I sleep fine. I'm good. It's like, it's not that it's disrupting my life to that extent. It's almost like an anticipated, expected, um, different life to be living. I guess I don't know, but." I've been talking so much. I didn't know if you guys have questions about things or.
No, I mean, I just like listening. I mean, I've heard so many different stories about things that I personally have never experienced, but on my Discord server, and people tell me all kinds of stuff that they've never told before, and it's I like listening because I learn more when I listen than when
Yeah.
I'm speaking.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to read your book for sure.
So I might have some questions. So I, growing up, had night terrors.
Mm.
Do you relate night terrors to any of the Hat Man Shadow people experiences, or do you think it's not connected at all?
Well, I could tell you this: when I started in this field, that was not a conversation for a decade or so. Night terrors, sleep paralysis. It just got
Mhm.
so popular, the shadow people conversation out there, that the scientific world had to answer. And I was taught this in college about sleep paralysis. And it wasn't something that was ever put out at the level that it is now. But people, they need to be told everything is not demonic or alien. So yeah, it is absolutely connected. And unfortunately, these things test you in your dreams and try to see how far you can go. What does it take to really scare this person? What does it take to push them? What's their weakness? How can we make them lose control of who they are? And I have a method of showing people how to bless their home and their space to keep these things away. And when they do, these things will tend to start attacking through their dream level again. And it's like, let them. They're just trying to figure you out again. Don't worry about it. Just keep steady with where you're at. Because if you bless your space, they can't as easily access you physically, but they can try to torment you mentally, spiritually. And and it's not a small thing either, though. Excuse me, because it's important to know that if you're somebody that's experiencing a lot of quote night terrors, nightmares, and you don't always see what's behind it, you won't see a shadow being, you won't see Hat Man always, you'll have other crazy scenarios going on, whatever it is. But if you keep going in along this path of having these types of experiences, when we cross over, when we die, these things follow still, unfortunately.
Mm.
So you have to end this whole cycle if this is what's going on in your life. Excuse me.
What are your thoughts of Ed and Lorraine Warren?
It's funny. I reached out to Lorraine. I was living in Australia at the time, and the pattern of the Hat Man was becoming really, really evident because, again, I put him out as another shadow being. And her nephew responded. I can't think of his name, but he's known in the field as well. And I said, look, the devil is showing up, and I'm having a hard time with it. The people are really having a difficult time with with him showing up the way that he is. And to call Australia, a call from Australia, it was, we didn't have, all these different methods right now to make those phone calls. So I was like, I don't feel like paying that to call, but so I didn't get a chance to speak to her about stuff. But I think they were pioneers of a great sort. I think they really put things on the map that weren't generally known. And I don't always, I say, not just them, but others that are in the field. I know a lot of people that do these paranormal shows, and after they leave, I tend to get messages, please help. The television crew just left, and they left me in a bigger, worse mess. These things are really ticked off. We're packing up to move. Can you help? I'm like, I'm not a ghost hunter. I've been on some hunts, but let me tell you, Hat Man is just hoping I go in that door. It's like, oh, come on, Heidi.
He's waiting for you.
He hates my guts, and feelings are mutual. I love ticking him off, but I'm not here to confront him in that sense. I like to arm people themselves, and I don't say, oh, that'll be $125, please, then I'll help you. No, it's free on my website on how to get things. It's in most of my books. I think arming people to handle it for themselves is most important, because when we individually cross over, it's up to us and where we stand. I find that a lot of people are like, look, I had like this team come in and they blessed and did all this stuff for me, and I still got the stuff going on. And I said, well, did you join in the blessing? Well, no. Well, it's there for you. I think you need to join in the blessing and blessing your space, because that is how you really put your ethereal foot down. People have to participate in protecting themselves. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Armor up.
Armor up.
We always say armor up.
there you go. And the alien being that I had a lot of contact with, he told that to myself and Samantha about this being a battle of all battles, and it's already begun in the privacy of people's homes. We keep thinking there's going to be chariots always. That'll come at some point, and we'll see it in the sky. But people are having these outright drag out fights for their very souls. And then they have to go to work in the morning, pretend it didn't happen. Or their wife laying next to them in the bed they can't talk to, and they're writing me on the other side of the planet, begging for help, crying. I just we need to do a better job in being accessible, supporting people, not being so judgmental. People are defending. I put up an image on Instagram of yucky reptilians, grays, and the outright horned devil on one side, and then I had Jesus on the other side with angelic looking beings and normal people. And I put at the top, not even close, right? I have never had so much static from one image. Oh, the poor reptilians and the grays. And you don't know them and how good they can be. I just had one person that said, how racist. I was like,
You gotta make everything about race.
right.
What?
It was crazy. And then one person said Jesus is too light. I'm like, are you missing the point? What is going on here? They defended and got so angry that I put these ugly looking beings on one side who rape and abuse people to such
Yes,
a
torment.
terrible, taking their souls from their bodies, and they were offended. I'm like, wow, there's a
People
lot
are
of
offended by everything.
Mhm.
Everything I post, somebody's offended, and I just tell them, you know,
yeah. Oh,
in a nice way. I screw off, you know.
yeah. Oh, I think I met the first troll when the internet started. I was like, oh look, there's a delete button. Bye, whatever, like I think I met the first one. It's like whatever, but I just couldn't believe it. And I'm like, you're more offended, you're more worried about offending these dark beings instead of getting your faith right. And people
Mhm.
are afraid to call themselves Christian. I
Mhm.
I used to say, oh, I'm spiritual. I thought that covered everything. No, it doesn't. It's-
Nope.
that's
Jesus's name covers everything, but not being spiritual.
oh man, I don't know why. And I find a lot of people, and the stricter the religion they were in, the more new age they are later on. Like, oh,
Mhm.
you must have been Pentecost. Oh, you must have been Catholic. Oh, and it's like, yep, yeah. It's like they're gonna make them mad by doing the opposite. I'm like, you are hurting yourself. And I don't go to church on Sundays. I'm not a Bible thumper, but I understand the reality of Christ and how it works to say his name in the face of these evil things that are causing you harm. If they're not evil, great. Say Jesus' name, see how they handle it. Just see, you know,
Absolutely. Well,
it's
we
not.
definitely believe in the spiritual world being right in front of us, that, demonic forces are right here. Sometimes we can't see it, but it is right in front of our eyes. All we have to do is, feel it and to know. And we really do appreciate, you
You
putting
coming
it,
on?
coming on and putting it in the forefront and having the courage to talk about it and write books about it and talk about it on your podcast. So if you want to kind of plug some of your socials, your book,
You're
Yeah.
always welcome back on the show anytime.
yes.
Oh, I'd love to pop back on. There's so much more to talk about. Yeah, I welcome people, message me. Most of my social media is at one Heidi Hollis, to put a one in front of my name. And check out HeidiHollis.com or hatmanhelp.com. It goes the same place. I have the other fword.com. That's for being a cartoonist. It stands for faith, to help people read like Diary of a Wimpy Kid type books, on their faith, being silly. And for adults, there's one for adults, one for kids. And then theoutlanderscomic.com, which is a paranormal comic about anything and everything out of the ordinary. And my podcast is called Dark Becomes Light. You can find that also on my website, and it's under the Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network. So, and I do the news segments for Coast to Coast AM, and every once in a while doing television shows here and there. And the Anomalies book is my newest. That took me the longest ever to write a book. It has been a long time coming, and I'm still warming up to how to speak on this, and I'm trying my best, and I just hope that I'm doing it as humbly as possible, and people to understand the miracles of God are all around us, whether we know it or not. I certainly had no clue, but there are others in our government, in our churches. They're absolutely aware, and I wish they were more forthcoming. they understand the alien connections to these things, the good, the bad, the battle, and also that there are others here that, like myself, I'm just a volunteer. I know there's others that have volunteered. Not everybody is aware of their full roots of things, and I've done my best to be as painfully honest as I can to peel back the layers and say, take this, judge it for yourself. I'm not here to declare to be the all-knowing wizard of anything. I'm just willing to actually use my real name. A lot of people don't in this field. I've known people for 20 years who suddenly tell me, Heidi, that's my middle name. I'll just be honest with you. What? I'm just, I'm just me, and I think we just have to get more comfortable with ourselves and these all of these topics. And it's not so paranormal when I've got all these different powerful people coming out saying, yeah, we know about that. Yeah, this is that. And I'm really praying that we figure things out. People are anxious for the end of the world. And I'm like, we're going to lose too many people. People can't even say the word Christian and be comfortable. I just want us to have more patience with ourselves. We don't have to be perfect in our faith. If that were the case, God would have made us be obedient outright. But we're supposed to be flawed, get back up, fix things and go back through the cycle. So just
Absolutely.
do your best. I'm here if anybody wants to chat ever. And we all do our part.
Yeah, and some people in the chat are asking if you want to join our Discord. We have a Discord on Thursday evenings.
Tomorrow evening.
So tomorrow at 7. So we'll send you the link to that. Maybe you want to join sometimes because you have some great stories and it looks like our audience would love to hear more.
Oh, that's so sweet of them. I would love to join. Hopefully my internet will be working.
Yes.
I can't believe that both of them went down. I'm like, oh, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. My hand's a little crampy. I don't care.
All right. Well, go rest your hand. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Thank you, Skiba News Nation family, for watching. And we will see you Friday,
hopefully.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Brand new episode every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Psychics spot from Langley tribe to lobotomize the nation. Hospital protocols killed Dad, ventilator strangulation. Mom dropped the book that burned the whole damn system down. Now every normie cooks while we expose the clown town. Push the button, smash subscribe, feed the Patreon beast. Marinate in forbidden truth till your balls drop at least. It's the edge of the world, and all of that shit civilization. Every new show starts at 7. At least the red pills hit like nuclear detonation. It's understood that Skiba News. So subscribe to Skiba News Nation.